I'm going to explain to you real quick. You rolling yet? There's a reason for it.
Hey, so Jerome, the last time I saw you, we were in Irvine together. I spoke at your conference, Real Estate Domination. What's happening?
So we still got a lot of our real estate stuff. Right now, we've really been pressing our focus on warehouse space all over the country. We've been really learning the logistics of the need for warehouse as it relates more to like online businesses. Mm-hmm. And so we just purchased 2 of them last week, closed on them. We've been facilitating those negotiations since early part of the year. And so that's been our primary focus. And obviously we have our day-to-day business. So we have subdivisions, developments going, land, and all our other regular real estate. But really the warehouse space has been our primary focus in 2020. It's really been our big push.
For those of you who don't know Jerome, let me cover something really important. This is Jerome Maldonado. This guy's a real estate expert, real estate coach. He's been in New Mexico and doing real estate deals all over the country. A lot of people probably know him. If you haven't paid attention, if you've been under a rock somewhere, he's a partner with Ty Lopez and Dr. Alex, doing a lot of deals in the real estate space. I love Jerome Maldonado's coaching. Everyone, this is Jerome Maldonado. Hey, Jerome, tell everyone your story.
So I got involved in real estate in 1999 and really just buying single-family homes. I'm more of a traditional business guy. I've been self-employed since the early 90s and started buying rental homes like anybody would to start investing in real estate. And I'll tell you that all I wanted, Todd, was an asset that would grow in spite of my efforts and would protect my cash, really more than anything. You know how hard the business world is. You've been in business long enough. You've been through the ups and downs and the ins and outs of craziness of business. So, riding that business roller coaster in early years, I thought, I should invest in something that give me something tangible. So I started buying rental homes, and 2 years into buying a few rental homes, had 3 of them. I hated dealing with the tenants. And I had a need to get office space for my growing business. And so I bought a small strip center with the logistics of putting my office in the strip center and renting out the rest of the spaces so I'd be rent free. And that way my business cash flowed the way it did before I even owned real estate. And lo and behold, it was a successful retail center where we housed our office. And I thought, wow, 6 months after I landed up purchasing that one, I thought, let me do this again. And so I did a second one. And then I thought, well, why don't we just build these? And so we started developing raw land. And I didn't really have we were in construction pouring concrete. And I landed up just starting to develop and build small strip centers on my own. And that turned into developing subdivisions, land development. And it just started growing and duplicating. We lived off the revenue that our business brought us in. And everything that we generated from the real estate, we still to this day just continue to reinvest into the real estate game. And our asset base has grown immensely over the last 20 years. And it's been, outside of 2008 and 9, being very educational years, outside of those 2 years, everything else has been growth substantially over the course of the last 20 plus years. It's been really neat.
Hey, Jerome, I know you've been successful in Albuquerque. What other areas of the country have you expanded your real estate business into?
We've done deals all over, Todd. I did a deal out in Georgia, Allen Calhoun, an 80-acre ranch that we owned. That was a real successful project. We've done stuff in Texas, Austin, San Antonio area. I'll tell you that we've done a lot of development in New Mexico, but our primary success has really come in Arizona. We've done a lot of stuff out in the Arizona, Phoenix, surrounding areas, Scottsdale, Cave Creek, a lot of those areas in there.
Obviously, Jerome, you may know, and my audience may know, that the first deal I really did in real estate was a real estate syndication deal through Dean Witter for Irvine apartment communities. But I have this one favorite deal I did in Arizona. I loved it. And it's a great story. So I had a friend of mine, and her parents had a condo that they lived in, and the doctor was going to sell it, and I ended up buying it. The payment was ended up being like $497 a month. It was dirt cheap. I think I was renting it for $1,100, and the association was like $85. And I effectively said, hey, treat the property like it's your own. You guys take care of it. And I didn't talk to him for 7 years. I basically did nothing for 7 years. It was a great deal. It's one of my favorite deals I ever did. And I regret ever selling that property. Hey, do you have a favorite deal, Jerome, that you've ever done?
You know, I think I have to resort back to the one that saved my ass, Todd, during the recession, because it was refreshing. You know, after developing and getting stuck in millions of dollars worth of debt because of the recession and the way it hit us, I resort back to my involvement back in Phoenix. I remember going into a town called Ahwatukee, and I bought a house, just one single family house, sight unseen. And it was like the reality, you know, it was like the lights of the recession just dawning upon me. And I jumped up on a block wall and just saw masses of houses just distressed, empty, 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 then a light on, then empty, 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 a light on. And that house wasn't the success of it. But what happened was it brought reality to the whole quote unquote recession, you know, economic downturn. And I landed up buying 11 single family homes, but I took 2 years and accumulated 62 units of fourplexes that was owned by 4 different owners. And I call them my garbage properties because they weren't even C properties, Todd. They were like D properties. They were right off the 202 and 40 between 40th and 44th Street, if you're familiar with the Phoenix area. And I'll tell you that they were scum. It was just down the cultural center, so a very pronounced area. There was a beautiful Marriott right by the airport. But those in particular properties sat in a good area, but they were just garbage. And we leased them. We found property managers after owning them for probably about 2000. So I'd say 7 years. We did a 1031 exchange, rolled them into an $8 million property. I think all into that, I had like under $1 million into that property. We owned it all cash outright. 62 units, less than $1 million, tons of renovations to them. And then we threw our hands up and just became kind of, I wouldn't say slumlords, but when you have a tenants of that caliber, you tend to just withdraw a little bit because of how much headaches. But the success of it got us into another property with over 87 units, $8 million property. We were able to 1031 into that. And I'll tell you, that's our best property today. That thing cash flows like a beast. We have about 70% equity in that property, only about 30% debt on it. And even during COVID, it's just been successful. And just out of sheer survival mode, we purchased those to cash flow our debt during the recession, and it turned into one of our most prideful pieces of property that we own today.
So, Jerome, I had the privilege of presenting last year at your Real Estate Domination Conference in Irvine, and I was pretty impressed by your followers. It was pretty amazing. And I got a chance to drive one of your friends, a fireman, to the airport after the conference. He needed a ride, and I took him over there. And I was just impressed with what he said about you, that he flew out from New Mexico to be there. He said you really helped make him a lot of money, and that he was a big follower of your coaching. I was curious, how did you get to be so popular? Todd, the more people hang out with me, then you get to know me. I'm kind of just a no bullshit type of person. I wasn't coming into this industry as a quote unquote coach or, hey, let me sell you on a program. It was more out of a need. And I figured, you know what? I personal trained when I was younger, when I was in college, and I made money doing what I love to do. And I helped a ton of people doing it. And it was just a great feeling. And we're at a point in our lives that we've done very well. And I told my wife, we need to be mobile when our kids go to college. And we need to be able to have our condos that we own, but we can utilize them and up and go whenever we want. And with our traditional business, we're married to our office. We're married to the day-to-day business. And I told her it's time to start giving back, one, and two, it's time to put a business together that we can do it anywhere we go. And I've traveled so much, Todd, that I started just talking about what I've done. And I didn't even know what my message was, in all honesty, in the beginning. I figured, let's talk about business and sales and how we develop this beast behind real estate, business, everything. And
people grabbed hold of it, but the majority of people really wanted to know how I built my real estate stuff. And it wasn't really my focus at the time. And because of the need that I saw, that when people were coming to me, Todd, and they were just almost begging for information on real estate, I just started giving it to them. And I gave it to them through real life stories and experiences. And in all honesty, I didn't even realize how much experience I had. And the more I get into this, the more I realize how little people know and how much I actually know just based on all the deals that we've done. I mean, we've closed on hundreds and hundreds of deals. I don't know how many we've done, but it's been well over 100, maybe 200 plus deals over the years. And every deal gives you an experience. And so where there's somebody's only done 1 deal, 2 deals, 0 deals, 5 deals, are my experience weighed heavy. And so Eddie knew that. He's seen some of the success because I've worked out with the guy since I moved back to New Mexico back in 1998. And he saw me grow from just moving back to what we flourished into over the last 20 years. So it's been pretty neat. And I think just from honest growth, people follow. You know, you don't have to try. When you're really doing stuff and you're really making shit happen, you don't really need to make people follow you. They want to follow you. It's contagious. They know, they can feel it. They know when there's stuff going on. I've always taught that success leaves clues. And the biggest thing is there's a lot of noise on the internet. So I think when people sense out the genuine nature of what you do and you don't get lashed back because what you're talking about is real, it's easy. Your following just comes.
Hey, I know you have a construction business and you're a contractor. Do you think being a contractor is a critical part of your business? And has that given you some sort of competitive advantage of what you're doing in real estate?
That's actually the reason that Ty and I, our relationship grew, was more so because of the interest in the construction. You know, they kind of go hand in hand. And I think so many contractors miss the boat on the real estate end because it's been one of our biggest pivotal points of being in real estate is we've been able to look at the market as a whole. So since we have projects all over town, we're able to look at the social economic classes, where people are spending money, demographics, the cities that are growing, where people are drawing back, where there's government expenditure and there's grant money, where there's growth in city development. And so we've been able to learn a lot through the construction company. It helped us through the recession. It helps us every day. And where most people lose in most projects, especially if they're doing value add being when you buy a distressed property, add value to it, improve that property, and then you have a cash flow and you sell it for a premium. It's been able to help us go in and have a knowledge base of structural issues that are on properties, costs of renovations, the logistics of hiring general contractors and subcontractors, and really being able to save costs, sometimes being able to exit out middlemen. And so in early years, being able to put more profits into our pockets. As we've expanded over the years and we've wanted to shake off headaches, obviously our costs go up, but it's been able to mitigate and lower our risk tolerance because of our knowledge base. And so in all those factors, Todd, our construction company has been so advantageous to the success of our real estate.
So Jerome, how did you get in business with Ty Lopez? I see Ty buying a lot of properties with Dr. Alex, like Linen Things and Dress Barn. I know he just bought Pier 1 Imports. I see you guys doing a lot of real estate stuff together, building stuff like that. I know the audience would love to hear about what you're doing with Ty Lopez and Dr. Alex. What's going on there?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be a part owner of equity in a little bit of every one of those companies that he has. And so we've been on the forefront of the first offerings of a lot of those companies, which is exciting in itself, you know. But Ty and I, so when I got into this internet game and social media game, I'll tell you, Todd, I was kind of an ostrich in business. I just stick my head in the sand and go to work. And I really didn't pick my head up. I really just focused. And, you know, it was one of the things that I learned from a mentor years ago is keep the distractions of life away from you because they tend to bog you down, other people's problems, other people's issues, the politics. And I just kind of always stuck my head in the sand and went to work. And that was a big point of my success. Well, through a good friend of mine, I was introduced to the knowing of Grant Cardone Ty Lopez and some of these guys. And I'll tell you, Ty and I wasn't following any of them. I started investing with Grant, with Cardone Capital, and I was sent down to 10X GrowthCom with an investor's pass. And as much as I love Grant, his team turned me off a little bit with how aggressive they were. And at that same conference, I had an opportunity to get introduced to Ty briefly. And I took a liking to him the first time I actually met him in person, and invited me over to his house for one of his business builder conferences that he was doing. And I paid just like everybody else, just like anybody else that followed him online. And I went to his place over in Beverly Hills. And you know, I always observe things from a distance. I take things like a grain of salt. I don't look good upon them or bad upon them. I just take everything like a grain of salt, and I try to consider everything. And so when I met him over there, I got to talking to Alex Meir, Dr. Alex, who we were talking about. And they started talking about e-commerce, online stuff, and investment deals that they were doing and working on. At that time, it was Mentor Box and Grass-Fed Brands, which is now Farmer's Box. And I got to talking about real estate with Alex. And so Alex took a liking to me, and he said, Jerome, what are you doing tomorrow night? And invited me back for an investor's dinner at Ty's place. And there was only 4 people invited to that dinner. I was one of them. And when they presented, Alex came to me and said, hey, Jerome, what do you think about what we presented? And you were offering, you know, just a percentage of payback of like 10%. And I said, you know, and I was just truthful with the guys. I didn't really know them that well, so I didn't have anything to critique. And I wasn't sitting up on a cloud of ether either, which I think a lot of people do when they meet people that are successful. I just told them honestly my opinion about what they were doing. And Alex really liked that about me. And so he invited me back a few weeks later to come back and join him for another investors dinner. And I kept running into Ty. And it was really Alex's and I's relationship that grew. And over the course of time, they had a need for real estate. And Alex told Ty, you really need to reach out to Jerome. And what it comes down to, Todd, I think, is that most people cut themselves short, or they think they're worth more than what they really are, and they don't ever give back. I just offered what I knew as far as my knowledge to these guys. I gave honest opinions of what I thought about what they were doing. And I think they liked the honest nature of what I was doing. They kept inviting me back. And I told my wife when we got into this, I said, you know, I'm not going to play this game of being on the low end of the stick. I'm going to get in. We're going to work with the best of the best. I felt like I had enough success in my life that my experience weighed hard, and I had value to bring. But you got to share that value, and you got to be willing to give it out free of charge. And you also got to be able to be willing to speak up. And so I asked these guys, and I was just blunt and honest with them. I didn't beat around the bush. I just went to another gentleman named Alec that worked for them, ran Knowledge Society, Ty's online courses. And I just told him, I said, hey, you guys ever need people to do courses for your online courses in real estate? I had never done a course in my life. And he goes, yeah, every once in a while. We look for him. I said, well, just keep me in mind if you guys need some help. And I just offered help. I didn't offer like, hey, I'm Jerome's building his brand. I'm the best at it. I'm great, rah, cheering myself on. I offered my assistance to him, and I offered it for free. And a few weeks later, I got a text message from Alec. He said, hey, are you still willing to do a course for you? We'll pay you. And I said, absolutely. I said, you guys don't even have to pay me. And I flew out to Ty's place free of charge. They landed up reimbursing me without my discretion for my plane tickets and hotel. But I'll tell you, it was from those courses. And then word got out to Ty and said, hey, this guy does good in front of the camera. His teaching style is good. And then I was in Miami, and Ty asked me about it. He said, hey, do you want to be on my show? And so it was just small, ongoing occurrences of me putting myself out there that we built a relationship. And over the course of 2 years, 3 years, a trust and a friendship started to grow. And it was from not having any expectations, offering good value, and just being honest with the guys. And we just started forming relationships. And that's really how our relationship started to grow. Everybody's interconnected. I've learned about this e-commerce world is everybody that's doing anything in this business is interconnected to some magnitude. And I think some of the guys that were helping you with your back office initially worked with some of the guys that helped me with my back office, and they were friends, and they all worked for Ty.
I think anyone that's been in this business has worked for Ty Lopez at some point. You know, it's funny. A company I'm doing business with, looking to acquire, they've actually been an investor in one of Ty Lopez's business. It's called, what's it called? It's a weird name.
Alexander?
Yeah, I mean, how'd they come up with that name? It's such a kind of strange name. Schweitzer Alexander?
So Ty's, they wanted something that was like Berkshire Hathaway. So this is the story as I understand it, and this was out of Ty's mouth, but it's being regurgitated out of mine. So Ty's grandmother's last name was Schweitzer or something, as I understand it, somewhere down the line. And Alexander is Alex's real name, birth name. And so they put a Schweitzer Alexander as something professional that sounded like Berkshire Hathaway, because Ty is a huge Buffett fan, and that's his biggest mentor, you know, is Warren Buffett. So everything that he does is modeled around the Warren Buffett model.
Oh, got it. Makes sense. Yeah, I get that. Back when I was 11 years old, I really fell in love with what Warren Buffett was doing, and I wrote to him, and his assistant sent me every single annual report that they had up until that date. I think it was in the 1980, 81 timeframe. And I totally understand where he's coming from. I was thrilled to get them. I read every annual report, and he's affected my life also. So you, myself, and Ty Lopez were expected to speak in Vegas in an actual event. I know it's because of COVID, it's turned virtual. Can you tell the audience what they can expect from this virtual conference? I know you got a lot of people signed up. I'm pretty excited about it. I love the format. Can you tell us what people can expect?
So it's the same thing I've been talking about, Todd. It's real people doing real stuff in the real world. It's not this hocus pocus magical 5-step program that is going to get you wealthy in business, real estate, this, that, and the other. It's real life stuff. You know, it's going to be real professionals, as we did last time. I try to bring people, even if they're not even known. I don't care what their social media following is. What I care about is what their real life experience is. And so the benefits to the people that are watching right now that have no idea what they're in for, is truly a new experience compared to the masses of what really goes on out there. This isn't any like on-stage training where we're going to sell you sales courses and training courses and have you come in and into a sales pitch. This is real life professionals like yourself, Todd. That was one of the things that I respected most about you, is the fact that you had real companies with real experiences, good and bad, that could be shared with people in a fashion that they could learn from your shortcomings, your real life experiences, good or bad, whatever they were, and learn from the success that you've had. Because obviously we don't want people with all bad experiences and the school of hard knocks and only hard knocks. We want people that rode those waves, went through the school of hard knocks, but had success at the end of it. They could share their means and vehicle of how they got there. So that gives people a real perspective, because I think so many times people are looking for this hocus pocus stuff that is like a magic pixie dust that just all of a sudden you apply it to something and it works. And it's not really like that. I think COVID has been a good experience for a lot of the young professionals that haven't really lived the course of decades of experience, that there are factors outside of our control. And so market trends play a big part of that. Learning how to pivot in business in the real world play a big part of that. And so real life experiences of professionals, of how they pivoted during these times, during the times of 2008 to 2010, that have lived and seasoned through the course of time. And so Real Estate Domination 2020 is exactly that. It's real life professionals and how they've seasoned over the course of years of experience and what they're doing today, not yesterday, not how they made their money yesterday, how they're making their money today, pivoting through what they went through in the past, bringing it to today and what they've learned, and how they've pivoted to continue to have success, even in an altered market like COVID-19 and everything that's happening economically right now. And so that really is what separates Real Estate Domination from any other platform out there, any other training out there, and any other conference that's happening across the United States or anywhere else.
You know, an important thing I learned when I was on the phone with you and Ty Lopez was Ty said, you got to give the audience something they can use right away. Give them something that they can take away right then and there. So when I was at your conference, I was excited to talk about 25102N, where we could specifically teach people how that they could generally solicit to finance their real estate in California. I don't know if I've ever got a better response at a conference. After that, almost every single person at that conference DM'd me, contacted me, or came up to me after the conference. And I wasn't even selling them anything. And I think that that's what really hit home with me with what Ty's advice was. Everyone got something from the conference they could walk away from. That's what made the conference completely different than anything I've been part of. One of the interesting opportunities I see is you and Ty working on real estate ventures. Are you syndicating? Is there an opportunity for investors to get in, or is that being kept private?
No, so we're not syndicating it. We're doing private funds, but they have the opportunity to come in and work with us on some of these deals. We have been picking up a lot of these properties cash, and then we allow people on the back end to come in once we stabilize them. You know, one of the good things, Todd, is a lot of these syndicators make money on the fees that they charge. We're not doing that. We don't want to make money on you guys on fees. We're really advocating for the people. We need good people. You got to be an accredited investor to come in and work with us. There is opportunity to come in, join in, be part equity owner of them. We're doing private funds though, and we're not syndicating them. We raise on the back end, and when we do it, there's no fees. We're not charging you guys fees on it. I like stabilizing the properties, Todd. I don't want people coming into these deals, and if it takes us 6 months to stabilize a property, we'll bring them in, pay them back a percentage on as a loan, and then we allow them to convert into equity down the road. This way, we're not holding out. And I just know how real estate works. I understand that most people don't have the ability to service debt for a long period of time. So we're setting these up very manageable for us. And most of the real estate is getting stabilized by the brands that we have ownership of. And it stabilizes the real estate a little bit quicker, but it's also more protective for people that want to work with us. And that way they're able to make real cash on cash. So anyways, that's how, but yes, they do have an opportunity to come in, Todd, and definitely work with us.
We always try to take questions from listeners and followers. I hope you don't mind, but we have a couple quick questions for you.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you know today that you wish you would have known in the beginning of your career?
Oh, the one thing, well, I don't even know if this is what I wish I would have known. I wish someone would have told me it would have been so damn hard to get from where I started to where I am today, man. I would have probably went and got a job at McDonald's. I've been a manager by now, Todd.
You probably already touched on this, but what was your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, you know what? My biggest failure is still what it is today. What it was in the beginning still is today, but just in a smaller quantity. You know, we are who we are, just sculpted by God, who we naturally are. So we all have our shortcomings in our personalities. I don't care who you are. Everybody out there thinks that they have these shortcomings that prohibit them from becoming successful. And most of the time, what they think their shortcomings are really aren't their shortcomings. It's something totally different. Mine is it's been my contributor to my success, but it's also been a hindrance in the beginning. And I'm very outspoken, and my tongue has gotten me probably in more trouble than anything in my entire life. But it's also contributed to a lot of my success. So finding that balance, Todd, has been my biggest failure, because there's days that I run my tongue and I sit back and scratch my head and go, damn, I should have probably said that differently. And it's too late. And so it's something that I work on every day with personal growth, trying to how to finesse things correctly in the right times. But one thing that I can say about my tongue is that if you hear something come out of my mouth, it's always in truth. And I typically won't take anything back, even if people don't want to hear it or it offends somebody. It's probably been a big contributor to my success in that way, because I'm real. I'll just kind of lay it on the table, even when people don't like it. So it's kind of went both ways. So my success and failures kind of run hand in hand in that regards.
I want to remind the audience that the Real Estate Domination Conference is coming up. It's virtual. It's free. It's November 6th, 7th, and 8th. Jerome, how do you do something like this for free? Can you explain that?
I'm biting the bullet for you guys. I'm biting the bullet for everybody. I know I'm going to probably take a loss on it this year, but I'm committed.
I know you'll be there. I'll be presenting there. Who are the other presenters?
Okay, so look, here's what I'm doing right now. I got Kyle Mitchell. Kyle, here's how I met Kyle. I met this guy, Kevin, on an airplane. First time I was flying out to Ty Lopez's house. And this guy just saw me reading through some leasing documents that I had on the plane, watching me the whole time. And I didn't even know he was watching me. I was just reviewing them, redlining documents that I could send back to my office, just doing what I do. And at the end of the plane flight, we're boarding off the plane, and he asked me what if I was in real estate. I told him yes. Told me that I really got to link up with a buddy of his named Kyle Mitchell. He just gotten into multifamily. He worked at a golf course as a GM, and got into multifamily. Didn't have any two relations. This guy was doing little home flips out of Chicago, but was from LA. And through just a guy on an airplane, I met Kyle Mitchell. And this is what I'm talking about, real life people. Kyle has since syndicated several multifamily deals. It's been about 2.5 years since I met him. I called the guy. That's just the way I am. Someone gives me a good referral, I reached out to him. I said, hey, Kyle, my name is Jerome. This guy, Kevin, gave me your name on the plane. I'm in LA. You got time for lunch? Let's go have lunch. I got an hour before I catch a flight this day. He said, no, I don't. But he goes, I'll tell you what, can you come by my place? Invited me to his place. We went out to the clubhouse. We met, sat down for about 45 minutes. We chatted for a little bit. One thing about Kyle, he's very smart. So very structured in the way he talks, very analytical. But I took a liking to him. I knew he was honest and genuine, even though our personalities were slightly different, me being a little more outgoing, a little bit more aggressive and assertive in how I do things. And so second time I came in, I said, hey, I'm back in town. Let's grab dinner. And we went and had dinner. And I'll tell you, we actually broke through the ice and laughed and got to know each other really well, got to know a little bit more about what he was doing. We've since helped each other in Phoenix with some of his deals. I go down and look at them. When I'm in town, he'll go by mine. And I've met his wife, sweet gal. And so we become really good friends. And I finally asked him, he started hosting his own summits. I've spoken on his podcast, and I've been able to meet a lot of his network of people and investors. And so I reached out to Kyle and said, Kyle, you've had more success in the last 2.5 years than most people I've ever met. You've got to talk at this conference. So he's going to talk about how to syndicate as well. It's going to be a good ribbon to what you talk about and how he pivoted in multifamily through COVID. And so he's one of them. He's going to be talking. I'm bringing Sean Maloney back. Sean is a good friend. He's just a genuinely good person. And he's a systems guy. What all of us lack in. I know I lack in systems. I'm a systems illiterate when it comes to that stuff. Just a great person. Somebody you need batting in your corner. One of those people that when you're stressed out and shit's just not going right and he knows that he can feel it, he'll reach out and without asking, enter himself into your inner circle, not in a forceful way, but in a helpful way. And Sean has been an advocate, a Jerome Maldonado advocate in multiple ways and showed it without any ask of concerns or need in financial means in any one way, shape, or form. So he's going to be there. He's going to be talking about business systems. He runs a big brokerage in the Northeast. He started it from scratch when I met him 2.5 years ago at Thrive. And he was just named the #1 fastest growing company in Massachusetts and an Entrepreneur magazine. He's won a bunch of awards. Real great guy. Good to have in your back corner. And we're bringing in Ty Lopez. We're going to be talking about how we're marrying e-commerce brands, Pier 1 Imports, Dress Barn, grass-fed brands, Mentor Box, Franklin Mint, Linen and Things, all these companies that are being acquired, how we're taking the real estate sector of it in warehouse space, and we're marrying the two and growing a brand in real estate around all these other well-known American brands And we're going to talk about how we're supporting e-commerce through the means of real estate and warehouse. And I'll tell you, we got two special guests that we're bringing in. We haven't decided which two we're going to bring in. I'll tell you, they're going to be big names, as big as Ty Lopez. We're waiting because
wait, Jerome. Todd Ault's already going to be there. It's funny. I know you're bringing in some big guests. It's going to sound like a sales pitch. I'm speaking there for free. I'm not charging anything. I love Jerome. I love what Jerome's teaching. I really enjoy what he talks about with real estate. It's amazing. But Ty Lopez is going to be speaking for free. How often do you get to see that? That's insane.
This is going to be an event for people. I mean, to have you there, Todd, I mean, you built businesses in excess of $70 million. I mean, just people don't understand. So those of you guys, Todd's very humble, right? And he doesn't say much about it being, he'll sit here on his own podcast. And for those of you guys, who don't know, one of the reasons Todd and I have collaborated is, and not that I wouldn't collaborate with somebody that doesn't have the success. I think it's wrong to say that. I have a lot of people that I collaborate with that have less success equals success, and then tremendously more success than myself. But truly, I need professionals that, one, are willing to give back, and two, really have the real life experiences. And Todd brings all of that to the table. So Todd, having you there to talk about big business deals and then bring those big business deals to real life magnitudes where mom and pop business owners can start investing in either a business or real estate or whatever it is, bring that to the real world is huge. And so for those of you guys who are Todd Ault fans but really haven't had the whole flavor of Todd Ault, you get to see him there in real life.
That's very kind of you, but the conference was wonderful. I love listening to Dr. Alex, where he was investing, his ideas, some business strategies. It was worth every second of the conference. I'd do it again for free. I'd attend. I'd go anywhere for this conference. It was wonderful.
It always is. When Ty and Alex get up on stage, we may plan this event to end by 6 or 8 o'clock, and we may not be out of there till 11 o'clock. I've had 1 o'clock in the morning dinners at events where Ty spoke at, because once you get those guys going, they're so knowledge rich, and the questions keep rolling out. They're very humble in the fashion of giving when it comes to knowledge. That you might want to bring some extra energy drinks to the conference, because you may need them.
Yeah, I know. It was amazing. At the last conference, I had to go to the airport and take someone to the airport. You were speaking. When I came back from the airport a while later, you were still speaking, and the entire crowd was still there, fascinated, watching everything. No one had left. It was amazing. I'm really excited to be part of the conference and what you're doing here. I really look forward to being there and presenting. We're going to put all the links below, but how do our listeners and followers get a hold of you?
The easiest way is through all the social media platforms. We've got a full team that helps us, and believe it or not, I still run through all that stuff on weekends and evenings when I have time, and I like to be involved. And I'm kind of a hands-on person. I always have been. So if you guys go to Jerome Maldonado and the number 1 on Instagram, Jerome Maldonado, Maldonado, and the number 1. You'll find me on Instagram real easy. You'll type in half my name and I should pop up. You go into Facebook and Jerome Maldonado, you'll find both our fan page and the personal page. We're maxed out on the personal page. Every once in a while we go through there, clean it out, and bring more of you guys in that are more worthy of what we're doing, not because other people aren't worthy, they're just not engaged. And but go to our professional page and follow us. But if you guys go to LinkedIn, I'm on there. All my pictures, photos are the same. And you can find us, DM us, hit us up on Messenger. We will reach back out to you. Sometimes it takes us a day or two, but we'll get back out to you for sure. We love to hear from you guys. Comment below and reach out.
Hey, Jerome, I really appreciate you doing this. I'm really looking forward to doing this in person again when this COVID situation calms down. But right now it's virtual. I'll see you on the 6th, 7th, and 8th on this virtual conference. I'm excited to be there. Appreciate everything you're doing, buddy, and I'll see you soon.
Todd, thank you for inviting me to be on your show. It's a pleasure. The honor is mine. Todd, I look forward to working with you on into the future. It's going to be a fun relationship.
Okay, you're going to get the links below to join the conference. This is going to be an exciting real estate domination conference. I'm going to be presenting there, as you heard, along with Ty Lopez, Jerome Maldonado, and others. Make sure you sign up. It's going to be a great free conference. If you're looking to get into the real estate business, are in the real estate business, you need to expand your network. This is going to be a great opportunity for you. I'll see you when you sign up. Look forward to seeing you at the conference.
There's a reason for it.